This is Sky Blues Extra.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sky Blues Extra Live, brought to you by Shortland Horn, Coventry's leading estate agents. After what was, well, in fairness, a pretty poor game overall, a 1-0 defeat, obviously, away at Swansea. That's no wins now in Wales in, I think, about 10 years, I think the guy on Sky said.
That's why Andy hates it so much.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Joining me this evening, last week he was in his kitchen cooking up a storm. This week he's on the east wing of his mansion. Tom Ward, how are you, mate?
Evening, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, a little bit of a come down, isn't it, from Saturday after performing so well, and then to put a performance like that out this evening, it doesn't bode well, does it?
No, well, no, it doesn't in a way, but I don't feel too downbeat about it. I thought the first half performance was quite good. Thought we matched them really the whole first half. We could have been in the lead quite easily.
Yeah.
But we fell away, didn't we? Second half.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like the first goal was going to be key. Like I felt at half time, I thought this will be a 1-0, I think, either way. And we just didn't have quite enough to get that goal, did we? Once we made those subs, we almost killed ourselves off, really, in a way, didn't we? We just lost all creativity.
Yeah, very flat. But it was frustrating from both teams. I expected a lot more from Swansea after watching them for the past 4 or 5 weeks. They've been really, really good. And tonight they offered very little. And I suppose it shows where we are as a team that we can't really break down a poor Swansea side when they're not showing, you know, those cutting edge performances that they've shown over the last few weeks.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But you know, they're solid defensively, aren't they? They keep things tight. I mean, we didn't really get in behind them very much at all. So they're just a smart team, and a team will grind out 1-0 wins like that, and that's why they are where they are in the league, really.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think on the commentary they said they've only conceded 19 goals all season, and 4 of them were at the weekend. So you know, they are a hard team to break down, and we certainly didn't break them down in the second half at all.
Or the first, let's be honest.
No. I just thought we played better in the first, though.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, it was a different second half for sure, different performance. But it's just one of those games where you need someone to grab it by the scruff of the neck, and nobody really did that, did they?
No, they didn't at all. We just lost our way a bit. Really fell away second half. I don't know what you thought of the subs, but they didn't really inspire. I know we had a strong bench, but I don't know if we utilised it in the right way.
Probably not. No, there's something we're definitely going to come on to later on in the show about the substitutions, and it'd be really interested to hear what the Sky Blue Army think too. As always, get your thoughts in. If there's anything you want us to talk about, I've got an itchy foot. Sorry. If there's anything you want us to talk about, obviously send a comment in wherever you're watching, and we'll talk about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on obviously tonight's game, what you think we can do going forward. Obviously a massive game at the weekend now versus Blackburn. Wardy just needs camera there to see his badge. It's not one of those upside down tops I've seen.
No, they've done this one correctly, mate, which is sound.
I saw those floating around on Twitter. And another thing, Twitter, obviously, Cover lost. It's an absolute meltdown as usual.
Not ventured on there yet.
Yeah, I'd stay well clear for this evening, that's for sure. We'll go through some of the comments before we get a couple of callers in. Glenn, Dino would have had a better chance with that Fads miss tonight. Set pieces, offensively, defensively, been our Achilles heel all season. Yeah, zonal marking is something I want to bring up with Glenn later on when he calls in. Someone's asking if I'm in witness relocation in the hat. I'll tell you the reason why I'm in the hat. I can't work. Well, it actually makes no sense, but I had a shoulder operation on Friday and I can't put t-shirts on properly. So I decided that I want to put a hat on to make it seem I'm not wearing a crop top. It doesn't make sense, obviously, but hey ho. Nigel's asking, on 255 on Saturday and someone offered you 2 draws against Brentford and tonight, would you have taken it? I definitely would have. So to be in the bag with 3 after those 2 games, I suppose is a plus point, Wardy.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not the end of the world. Like we all said we'd be really happy with the point tonight, and like so, to lose the game, it's not a massive difference if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And if it's all about the games we'll win, I think really now. Like if we were to win on Saturday, then 2 wins out of 3, that's massive points wise, rather than drawing both of them, if that makes sense. So yeah, you can look at it in lots of different ways, but I think obviously the win at the weekend has taken the pressure off a little bit, hasn't it?
Definitely. I suppose you look at those 3 matches in a row that you thought, if we get anything from those 3 matches, then that's a positive. And we're here with 3 points in the bag after from one of those games, and probably the one of the games that you definitely thought we would have lost. So I suppose that's a positive to take. Mark's with us again this evening. Good to have you with us, Mark. Frustrating result. Yeah, definitely something we've said so far. Battling performance, but got done by a corner where Wilson was at fault. What's your opinion on that corner? Because there was a couple of people question marking Wilson, a couple of people questioning the ref. Was there obstruction? I
think Wilson could have done a bit better, to be honest. It's one that, I suppose he is impeded to an extent, but as a keeper, you've got to hold. I don't think it's a foul, particularly. No. I think it would have been quite soft if it had been given as a foul. I think you've got to hold strong as a keeper there. I think you've got to punch it, and he's usually quite good at that. To be fair, Wilson, isn't he? Compared to Morosi, he actually punches the ball quite well. He did it a couple of times on Saturday, I think. So I feel like he could have done better, but they are quite tough. Those ones that come in and they're almost right on the line, and you've got players all around you. You can't sort of get out and punch it. So he possibly could have done slightly better, but they are difficult. What did you make of it, Dean?
Yeah, on first look, I thought there's a foul there, but secondly, it's the zonal marking again for me, I think. And how many times has zonal marking cost us this year? Where just stick to your man and just beat your man, and then that corner gets cleared out. It's as simple as that. We wouldn't have effectively 6 people around the goalkeeper, 3 attackers, 3 defenders. That wouldn't happen. Yeah. I put it down to sort of the coaching for me, but let's get Joey's thoughts because he's waiting in the wings. Joey, good to have you with us. SkyBluesExtra live. You're
Evening, lads. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. What's your thoughts on the proceedings this evening?
I think it just sums up the whole season, really. I think I could have said exactly the same things tonight as I've done pretty much every game. We're totally in the game for most of it, but margins. We're either giving away silly goals like tonight, or we're not putting away the chances at the other end. It's so frustrating because if we're losing 4-0 every week against these sides, you'd walk away and say, "Yeah, we're not good enough." Fair enough, but we are good enough. We're competing against a side that are well up there, and the difference between the two sides is a simple mistake from the goalkeeper and the defence. And how many times have we moaned about that all season? It's just so frustrating.
I suppose one good thing of not being able to go to games at the moment is to go and see performances like that, really. Although obviously we all miss the football, but when you come off a good result against Brentford and a really, really good performances, how disappointing is it to see sort of a carbon copy of that this evening?
Well, I think it's obviously disappointing because we're not sort of learning from it, but at the same time you think, well, actually it's just that maybe that's why we are where we are in the division, because that's what we haven't got the players there that are going to create that spark. The difference between us and the rest of this division is that they can create something out of nothing. They can score a goal out of nothing, bar the odd day where O'Hare turns up. We haven't got something. Like the last 20 minutes were just so painful to watch because there was nothing sort of going forward. The moment we took Biamu off, we had no outlet up there, and we could have been there for another week and we wouldn't have scored tonight. And I don't know whose fault that is. I think I think Gus Haver's just lost that spark as well. And actually looking around and thinking there's just nothing. There's just nothing that's going to create anything. So it is very frustrating. But at the same time, I'm not down and out. And the fact we are, 5 points clear? Back a week ago when I spoke to you, I thought we'd be pretty much in that bottom 3 tonight. So I think there's still a lot of positives.
Yeah, obviously results over the last 2 nights have gone for us. But you look at that, I'm just getting up the table now. We've got to rely on ourselves rather than other results, haven't we?
Yeah, we do, but I think it's.
Has Jerry gone?
Okay.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
Oh,
Go ahead, Jerry. We just missed what you said there. Go say it again, mate.
Yeah, but people are saying about Rotherham having 2 games in hand. Well, they're down there for a reason. They've lost the last 4. You know, you can. The chances are they're probably going to lose those 2 games. So I don't worry about that. And also, you've got Birmingham below us. So actually, you've got that sort of backup there if Rotherham do go on a run. And then also the fact that, you know, we've got an easier run coming up eventually. So a few wins, and I think you're miles clear. You look at the way Forest have sort of shot away. It really is that fine margin down there. You look at Blackburn as well. They're dropping like a rock. I think they're losing 3-1 tonight, and they've lost 3 before this. So again, you go back a couple of months ago, you'd have never have thought that Blackburn getting dragged into it. So it really is tight. I'm not worried at all, especially with that run coming up. It's just we've got to somehow manage to perform better against those weaker sides.
Why do you think the Sky Blues are blowing sort of hot and cold this season? Is it just purely down to a lack of experience?
I think we've got to have to expect this because we're not a team that's got the budget. So for me, the expectation was we were going to be down the bottom half. 90% season, which we have been, because we haven't got the budget to compete with some of these sides. And the fact is, you've got teams around us like Birmingham, like Derby, who have got far bigger budgets than us and some real big level.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still bringing on Bakayoko. We've got Biamu up front. We've got a team that's mostly full of League One players. So that's the reason, because we just don't have that thing. The fact that we're 5 points clear actually is a credit. And any team with that budget is going to blow hot and cold, really.
Well, hopefully things change starting on Saturday. Joey, thanks for your input as ever on SkyBluesExtra Live. Really appreciate you coming on this evening. Thanks, mate.
Cheers,
mate.
lads.
Cheers, Joey. And he's right. I mean, when you're chasing a game and you've got the likes of Bakayoko to bring on, it's not really the ideal situation, is it?
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, although the bench looks strong, we don't have a lot of attacking options, really.
Yeah.
Like Big Vic and Bakayoko as the 2 options to bring on to change it up doesn't really do a huge amount, does it?
It comes back to the thing we've said all season: just grind ourselves to stay in, and then let's reconvene in the summer and see what we need to do from there.
Exactly, that 100% that, isn't it? Like we've said many times now, we're never going to have a complete team. We're always going to have to rely on some of the players from last season, like Bakayoko.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we are getting a lot of players back. I think Godden's not far off at all now. So that's going to be another.
Hold on, are you going to throw out another back on the grass?
Back on the grass. I think he's already back on the grass. Actually,
ring the clap. We should have a little banner going.
A little gong
on the grass. Yeah.
So I think he's possibly, involved on Saturday, which that's another good option to have, isn't it?
Absolutely.
If you could throw on someone like him tonight, like that chance towards the end for Walker, ones like that. I mean, Godden, doesn't need he needs half a chance, doesn't he, to bury it? So I think, and the games are going to get a bit easier as well. So there's plenty of reasons to be positive, really.
Absolutely. Let's just grind our way and, enjoy the ride. We're in the Championship.
Yeah, we've got to enjoy it. We've got to enjoy it.
Best leagues of the world. There's going to be ups and downs. Every team goes through it, and it's just how we come out on the other side.
I'd rather be where we are than, obviously where Wickham are. And you look at the other teams at Sheffield Wednesday and Birmingham. I mean, they're going to be.
The pressure is on them. It's all on them. They're in the position that they need to get out of. 5
points is a reasonably large gap with how many games left? We've got 14 games now, is it?
Yeah.
They're going to have, how many more games are they going to have to win than us then to get out of it? 2 or 3 more or something like that. I don't know. But
yeah, absolutely.
It's a big ask for them, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, that we've got to be on their toes, and we've got to be on our toes, haven't we, really, to pull away when we can. I want to go through a lot of comments here because we've got some really, really good comments, and keep those coming in, and we'll get through a majority here before we bring Glenn in onto the show as usual. Largy could be there all week and not score. Yeah, it felt like one of those games. The inevitable wasn't going to happen, really. Josh, ridiculous game. So sloppy, no movement off the ball. Subs were awful, no impact, just weakened us. And to an extent,
Yeah.
I think he is right. Them subs didn't help, did they, at any point?
No, they didn't. It's a bit of a strange one because, like, Hamer came off and people were saying, "Oh, Hamer hasn't had his best game," but it's like, well, yeah, he hasn't had his best game. That's true. But to bring Sheaf on and James and some more sort of defensive-minded players, it's like, well,
What do you expect?
Is a half-hearted Hamer, worse than, I don't know, a defensive player? I'd argue no. I'd say one moment of magic from Hamer and we, get a point. So
yeah, and we're sitting here in a totally different mood, and we've pulled away from the relegation zone again.
I think
but
the subs were strange, I think, to an extent.
Absolutely. Where's that comment I just wanted to see? Here we go. We would have taken 3 points from those 3 games. Wasn't awful tonight. Bring on a huge march. And before March, obviously, Blackburn, who are in a dire run. I think Joey said 3 games. I think that's 5 have lost now.
Yeah, I think
on the
so,
bounce.
like that. Yeah.
So they're a team in free fall, and we've got to capitalise on that. It's a typical Tony Mowbray side. As Andy said on the podcast, they go backwards after Christmas, and here we are. Yeah. We're in February, and Tony Mowbray's sides are going backwards.
Just got to hope it's not. Just got to hope it's not against us that they turn their form around, because obviously Mowbray will want to prove a point. Armstrong will probably want to prove a point as well. So yeah, like you say, just hope we can carry on their bad run.
Absolutely. And at this level, you've got to take your chances. Like Neil said here, Walker and Fads, we had 2 really, really good opportunities at the end. I know they've come at the end of the game, but we've still got to be alive to them. And I think Fads is probably the more gilt-edged one of both. And he's got to hit the target at least and make the keeper make a save.
Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, Fads is a defender, obviously, but yeah, I thought the Fads one was the better chance out of the 2. Just a shame it didn't fall. I think if that one had fallen to Walker, I think he would have buried it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Obviously,
and maybe Fads would have buried a volley. Who knows?
Yeah, on his left foot. Yeah, pigs might fly, mate.
Absolutely. Ian's involved in the chat. Looked a bit flat after the weekend. I suppose that's going to be the case after putting in such a great performance at the weekend. You are going to get that sort of dip.
Yeah, it's not easy, is it? Playing on Saturday, putting in such a big performance on such a high after that result, and then training and then having to travel like a long way as well, probably 3 hours each way trip as well. So it's not easy. There's no fans there either. It's not easy for the players. It came across that way a little bit.
Yeah, he's reiterating that point that we've got players back now. So let's rotate. Let's see what plan B we can come with, other options. And I think someone like Matty Godden can give us a totally different attacking option, which is going to be key, and especially against those teams. Those tight games we're going to have in March. If we've got other options off the bench, or if we set up differently, it's only going to be to our advantage.
How would you leverage Matty Godden? Would you like, if he was fully fit, do you think he's an option off the bench, or would you want to see him start with Walker? Because there's a few ways it could go, isn't there?
Yeah, I think off the bench for now, just because we've obviously rushed him back before and it hasn't worked in our favour. So let's just take our time with him if we can. We just need Walker to be firing all cylinders. And I know tonight people have got their question marks over Walker's performance, but he's not the type of striker who's going to go chasing into channels, chase lost causes. He's not that type of striker. He's the one to sit up in the 6-yard box and get into the positions to score a goal.
Yeah, and I think he got marked out of the game a little bit tonight, to be honest with you. I think they obviously had looked at him from the weekend and seen what he's about, and especially his second goal at the weekend. So they've marked him tightly and they've marked him out of the game, and it's just been really difficult for him to get in the right positions. Yeah,
a lot of people coming in for talking about Wilson's hate, and there's definitely no hate from us on here for Wilson, that's for sure. SkyBluesExtra's own. But even if he wasn't, I don't think tonight's performance epitomises what he's done so far. I mean, he's done a real fantastic job. You look at the stat today, being mentioned in the same breath as Jan Oblak, and you think, wow,
he's got some of the best stats in Europe, hasn't he, at the moment?
Exactly. And a lot of people are talking about this, where's first mistake Wilson's made, everyone makes them. Of course he makes them. Morochi's made a couple of mistakes in the last couple of games he played, so everyone does make them, but it's how you bounce back from them, that's for sure. And Nigel is reiterating your point about Walker. They marked him out of the game. And to be fair, I don't think it was really the type of game where, space was going to be, everywhere on the pitch. It was very tight, very gritty.
Yeah.
It was just going to be one of those weird games where Walker really wasn't going to get into it at any point.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Let's see if Glenn agrees. Glenn, good to have you with us again on Sky Blues Extra Live. Just sum up the performance for us tonight.
Pretty much deja vu, isn't it, for a midweek game?
It is with us two on here as well.
I was going to say, we're going to have to disband this midweek duo because it's not working.
Yeah. No, it is the theme of set piece goals with balls in the box. I think it's a really good ball in the box by Hooverhead. He's quality. It was a really good ball with pace. And I think you just get whether once his body's in front of the keeper, it makes it hard, whether it's opposition players or it's your own players get in the way.
You know what they say?
I don't like
you chat shit, you get kabangoed, isn't it? So I had to say that. Yeah, sorry.
But no, I do think zonal marking is a bit of a farce just in general when you look at some of the teams in the Premier League where they're not literally looking at the ball, and I think. I just don't understand our policy because, like, on Saturday, Max was up on the halfway line, and yet today he was back defending. And I think Walker's better header of the ball, I think, in the defensive situation than possibly Max is. And I think Max just somehow seems to be a couple, like, a yard away from Max. And I don't know whether that's Max's man or not. And that just seems a bit, why are we chopping and changing? Well, we picked the same team, so why are we changing who's back for corners on it? I don't know whether it is just COVID, whether they just haven't got the time to spend the time on the training ground or get them in the classroom and show videos and stuff like that and just work on it. But it is a theme where, you know what I mean.
Not but your year 11s, Glenn.
Well, Mr. Robbins.
It's year 11's defending. It's year 11's defending sometimes, but no, I just think. It seems there's a theme off set pieces. The Sheffield Wednesday goal, as an example, Bannon, quality ball in the box, don't defend it. Preston had Paul Gallagher, quality balls in the box, didn't really defend them. Same tonight with Hooverhead. And I just think that's the one worry on it that we just kind of need to address. And we didn't go for it tonight. The results all have pretty much gone our way. And we just didn't really show any ambition, and it's the subs again. I don't know why he put Sheaf on. Shipley's got to come on. You could have put Bakayoko on earlier and gone 4 at the back. You could have put Ostergaard up front. It doesn't really matter if we lose 2 or 3. I just think just have a physical presence that's going to win the ball. Just stick it route 1. Just try something different. I think we're far too. We haven't got game changers off the bench, like Joey said earlier. And I would have rested a few tonight and had the option of bringing Walker, Hamer off the bench and probably gone a bit more solid because they're never gonna. They're not a goal scoring side, Swansea. They're very much get the first goal and hold on to it, and then if teams come onto them, they can beat them. But I just think we never really went for it, and that's kind of been a theme of a couple of games this season. But I'd take the 3 points from the 3 games. It's a good run of results.
What I want to ask from a commentary point of view is it a worry that when we're poor, we seem to be very poor, and then we don't even look like we're going to threaten an opposition?
Yeah, that's the worry is I don't think we've won back-to-back games all season. And winning back-to-back games makes a huge difference in the Championship. And even like a good week where you got 5 points from 3 games will make a huge difference. The positive I'd say is we don't have like horrific runs, and we tend to not like lose 2 or 3, 4 on the spin. So that's positive. But yeah, we're just very up and down. And last season, we always had when we were like level or chasing games, you always felt that we'd get a chance and we'd take it.
Yeah.
This season, we're not taking the chances when we get them, and we're not probably showing the level of ambition that we could do on it. And I just find it just frustrating. It's one of the things with Robbins, and he's never going to pleased me with his substitutions, and most of the
Doesn't
time
please many
he gets it
people,
right.
Glenn. It's not just you, mate.
But I just think the bench, Bapaga on the bench, or Gibello, maybe ahead of an Allen. It's just one of them. I worry about Da Costa now that he doesn't seem to do 90 minutes at all. I don't think he's ever completed 90 minutes for us, so that worries me. And then we're pushing Dabo.
From what I hear, he's got a bit of a stomach injury this evening. That's why he was brought off. But yeah, as you say, that is a worry. He seems to constantly be taken out of games, definitely.
But Dabo's getting back to fitness now, which is good news as well.
Yeah, I just would have liked the option of Da Costa maybe as an option in place of McCallum, because I think McCallum's final ball tonight wasn't great
it was
again.
Poor, wasn't it? Yeah.
But I just don't know whether you can rely on Da Costa at the moment. But as I said, I would have probably rested a few for tonight and got a bit stronger on Saturday, because I think Saturday's massive. I think Mowbray's under big pressure there from what I hear about a lot of the Blackburn fans. I think he did a quite short and sweet interview with the local press today that was kind of not very forthcoming.
What?
And he's
Tony Mowbray? I don't believe that. Not being very nice for the press. No, come on, that's a different guy you must be talking about.
But no, I think there's a lot. He's under big pressure. He's been tinkering with the team a bit like he did with us. He's got too many forwards, and he doesn't know how to fit them all into the team. And he's got a few issues at the back. So they are a team that we should be looking at in our sights with Luton and Preston, definitely. But it's just tonight, if we nicked a draw or even scraped to win, we would be that little bit closer to them and could pull them right back into it. But I think we win Saturday. If we get 4 points in the next two games, it sets us up for Derby. I think Derby are probably as good as safe now. I think they've pulled away now, and I expect them to climb. I think Forest are gone. I think it's Huddersfield and maybe Luton, Preston, and Blackburn if the run continues, and then I think Blues hopefully are nailed because they've got a horror run of home games, and I just can't see them getting out of it. But I'd rather pick the last six. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
I think you make a good point about Luton there. I mean, they again another side not playing particularly well. Don't score a huge amount of goals. I think one of the lowest, maybe the second lowest scorers in the division, and they're nervously looking over their shoulder. So another win for us and a loss for them. Drags them into contention as well. And the more teams that are involved, the better it is for us, because they all can't pick up points every week. And then when we do potentially slip up, it can go in our favour too.
I think the frustration is at the moment we've got an opportunity that if we hit a bit of form in the next 4 or 5 weeks, we could pretty much make sure we're going to stay up. Pretty much, if we can nick 3 or 4 wins, we would be pretty much almost safe. I just don't want to go to the last 3-4 games of the season where you've got to win 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4, and that's where you could potentially come a bit unstuck. But it's a wide open. I watched Rotherham last night, and they looked like they had the jitters because they missed 2 absolute sitters. So I just think Godden back will make a huge difference, and we just need to capitalise on the run of home games we've got, and hopefully beat Mowbray on Saturday, because we all always like going to Blackburn and getting a good result.
Absolutely. Cheers, Glenn. Thanks very much for coming on.
Cheers, mate.
Lovely to have you input as ever. And a huge game against Blackburn Saturday now, Wardy. What's your thoughts ahead of that?
Yeah, it's another interesting one, isn't it? I think we've got to take advantage of the situation they're in. Was it 4 or 5 games they've lost in a row? I think we've got to go there and play our stuff, and I think it's definitely a place we can get a result. Like Glenn just said, we've got a good record there as well, haven't we?
They brought it back to 3-2 now. They scored in the 82nd minute, but there's only a minute to go. But they're in a dire run of form.
Yeah, and it's the pressure is on big time. I've got a mate who's a Blackburn fan, Joe, who came on the pod earlier in the season, and he was tweeting about it, saying they probably don't expect to get anything from Watford, but the Coventry game for them becomes an enormous game.
Absolutely.
Like, probably defining for Mowbray possibly, because, when you look at the league positions and things, if we beat them, it'll drag them right back into it. Some other interesting fixtures as well. So, no, it's a big game Saturday, and if we can get a win, I think it'll be a massive step towards safety.
Absolutely. Yeah, a huge game coming up for the Sky Blues. And we'll be back with another Sky Blues Extra live on Saturday. People are asking, is it Ross and Dave back on Saturday? It seems to be a lucky charm, but no, I think it's going to be me and Ross on Saturday for that game.
Just trying out different partnerships to see what happens to the result.
It's like the Sky Blues front two. We're just throwing things out there just to see what works.
For a bit, it was 0-0 draws for me and you, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now
that seems to have worn off a bit
losses.
now. Yeah.
What we need is a real shithouse 1-0 win, and we'll be jumping for joy. That's what we need.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a couple of questions come in. Where's the first one? What's the news on Jody Jones? Obviously, we've seen him back on the grass, ringing the klaxon. Saw him back on the grass a couple of weeks ago. Posted a really nice video today of him at St George's Park doing his rehabilitation. What's your thoughts ahead of Jody Jones coming back into the fold?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think the news the Wes might be referring to is, I think the Sun posted an article about that he might have signed a new contract. Not quite sure where they're getting their news from, but wouldn't surprise me massively if that was the case. I think he's been a really good servant to the club on the pitch, and also some of the stuff he's done in the community. So hopefully that's the case. I think he deserves his opportunity, doesn't he? He's still really young, isn't he? So
yeah,
and he's probably not on massive,
23, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And he's probably not on massive wages. So and we can't sell him for anything. So why not just give him another year's contract, and he could be a really helpful player for us. So yeah, I think on the contract thing, that's looking really positive. And I think in terms of his rehabilitation, he seems to be stronger than ever. Obviously, mentally, it's been like hugely impactful for him, because to have it once is bad enough. To have it 3 times is just horrific. So yeah, huge mental strength to come back from it, and hopefully he'll be all good this time around, and he can get a run in the team and make an impact next season. I really think he can.
Absolutely, I think he's a terrific player. I think he's really exciting on the ball. Okay, we've only seen him at League 2 and sporadic League 1 level, but I think he's a real talent. A guy that will benefit from a run in the team. Definitely, the more he's a confidence player. You could see that. Yeah. And if the reports are saying that there's only a 5% chance now of this happening again, that's an unbelievable statistic. That's probably sort of in the echelons of what a player with no ACL history has got at achieving that injury. So
yeah,
that's really, really good news. And like you say, like, why not throw him a contract? He won't have had any sort of performance increases on wages or anything like that. He's probably earning
still on. He's probably still on League 2.
Exactly, very minimal. It's going to be, there's a lot of other players I would expect to be leaving the club before him. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he's got a lot to prove as well. In terms of his own intrinsic motivation and stuff, he'll be driven like you will never believe to make it and prove.
Have you listened to the podcast he was on the other week?
No, I haven't given it a full listen.
Right, so it was a YouTube video, but fantastic, real nice insight into how he is coming back from this. It's huge for a guy that potentially, if effectively could have ended his career. He still might. Time will tell, obviously, but we obviously pray that he can do a job for the Sky Blues, and if he does it in a Sky Blues shirt, then we all benefit, because
exactly
a good fit round to go. Jody Jones performing at the highest level.
Yeah,
is only going to do us the world of good.
Yeah, and I think if you remember when he first got injured, I think it was at Stevenage away, and I think we heard reports at the time there was like 15 different scouts there watching him or something ridiculous, and there was every week. And I think Leeds were about to put an offer in for him around £1 million. So he was about to go to the Championship at the time, and who knows what he could have gone on to. So I think he deserves that opportunity again to prove himself. And if it's at us and he has a good impact, everyone's a winner, aren't they?
Absolutely. So yeah, fingers crossed for Jody, and hopefully he can come back this year. Robbins has put that potentially on the horizon. He might be back in the fold because he's ahead of schedule. So he might be the guy who keeps us up. Who knows?
Might score the goal that keeps us up, Dean.
Exactly. People are asking if we're in the same room. Trust me, I won't be in the same room as him.
Social distancing.
Yeah, thank God for social distancing. That's what I say.
Yeah. Not that we'd be in some fancy studio if it wasn't for that.
Well, who knows? Glenn's asking which one is the backer out of us two. I mean, what are we rating
Probably
that
me,
on?
isn't it? Yeah, what we ability, height.
Yeah, someone who doesn't turn up, goal scoring ability. I don't know.
Yeah, left footed.
I'm not left foot now.
I'm right footed.
Yeah, all right. Wes is coming with another question. If you were the manager, what area of the pitch would you improve on for next year?
It's a good question, isn't it? It's a really good question.
I think we need, to go further and to improve. We need to, change all areas of the pitch. For me,
yeah,
we need to
I agree
everywhere. But is there one particular area that you would pick out?
If we just have a think about, I mean, we're probably going to need a centre half, aren't we? Because or two or three. Yeah, like you say, there's a case for having we probably don't need wing backs, or we might need a left wing back. But yeah, I'd say we definitely need a centre half. We might need a winger, possibly, or an attacking player. It's hard to say, isn't it? But defensively, we probably need a couple of bodies in, I would have thought. But we've got a decent spine of the team, haven't we?
Yeah, and
obviously depends on.
Glenn is saying that the whole spine needs improving, and I get where you're saying with that, because you think the spine we've had is taken us from League Two to League One, and now in the Championship, it's probably now that's stepping the stones to change things and for us to move on as a football club and as a team. We need to sort of address that.
Yeah, and it depends what happens with the players we've got now, because if you can sign players like Ostergaard, he's a good centre half in this league. Matty James, obviously, you're not sure what's going to happen with him, whether we'll sign him permanently. Is Kelly going to keep on playing at his levels year after year? Is Godin going to be fully fit? Like, there's a lot of question marks. If all those players are fit and on form, then we've got a good spine, I think. But there's also a case for strengthening as well, and just having options, which was one of our downfalls this season, when you inevitably have injuries throughout the season.
Yeah, I think for me, 2 centre halves, a left back, central midfield, creative player, a central attacking midfield, creative player, and a striker. That's I think,
not too much to ask then.
That's the minimal we need.
Yeah.
If we want to evolve and move on, then we need to be aggressive in the transfer market. And to be honest, this summer is probably going to be the worst time to even get involved in big business. To be honest,
it's harder in Europe as well now.
It's massive. I mean, the Brexit thing is going to have a huge impact on international signings. That's for sure. There's probably going to be a lot of swap and change between Championship clubs. Team players that coming out of contract that probably looking for more money and they'll move clubs in the division. So that will happen, I think, quite a lot. So there's definitely going to be a few bargains. There's a few sort of League One players that play well this year that we might look to get involved with. So
it's tough, isn't it? It's expensive to put a Championship team together. That's the issue. It's definitely expensive. Some of the positions we're talking about here, like a creative attacking midfielder. I mean, how much does that cost you?
Yeah, well, one of us needs to win the Euro Millions and run the club.
Yeah,
definitely. Right, so
don't need that stress, do you know?
No, you will never see me again if you're in the Euro Millions. Sky Blues Extra Live would not exist. Well, it can do. You guys can crack on.
You just be getting abused in the comments.
I'll have my own Gillette Soccer Saturday studio, just doing it on my own.
Yeah. Dino out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's start wrapping up for this evening. Obviously, a huge game now at the weekend against Blackburn. How do you see that one sort of going?
Prediction wise,
I
mean,
put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's tough. I'd like to see us nick it 1-0. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot tougher than what people expect. I know Blackburn have lost tonight. It's 5 in a row they've lost now, but they're going to be a wounded animal. They're going to have to want to come back. Their fans will be demanding to come back, and they'll see Coventry as the game to do that for sure. So if we can come away with a point, like I said in the podcast, that'd be great. I think a point minimum now after tonight really would well, that's what I think it needs to be. But I don't you know, I can see us going there and turning them over. It's just a Coventry City way of doing things, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it's always hard to predict, isn't it?
You get the first goal, things change, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Some interesting fixtures as well in the Championship on Saturday. Birmingham have got QPR at home. Could do with QPR doing us a favour there, really. Luton are playing Sheff Wednesday. That's a massive game.
I think Friday night Derby and Forest play each other too. So one of them are going to drop points or potentially.
Yeah,
both.
I mean, I think I agree with Glenn to an extent. I think those two are a little bit out of it now, but yeah, again, one of them will drop points, possibly get dragged a little bit back into it. Rotherham are playing Reading as well. So I know Reading lost last night, but really could do with Reading picking up all 3 points there. So yeah, interesting. Hopefully, if results can go away, if results go away and we get a point, it's always a it's a good situation. If we get all 3, it doesn't really matter what happens. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Absolutely. That's it for Sky Blues Extra Live. Thanks very much, Wardy. Good to have you with us again. Thanks for your input as always. Sky Blues back in action Saturday, 3:00 kickoff at Ewood Park. We'll be back live for Sky Blues Extra afterwards. Brought to you by Shortland Horn. And don't forget the podcast was released this week. It was released on Monday. It's got a little review of last week's action. Obviously, skip past the Swansea stuff. You don't want to know about that now as the game's over.
You can listen to it and then compare Dino's predictions and analysis with what actually happened.
Yeah, well, Jamal over the show. That's what you need to know. But yeah, we'll be back Saturday. Look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for watching and play up Sky Blues.